All right, we're live. Welcome to episode 15 of the Comic Collector Podcast. This is our first video. Very exciting. Yay. Yay. If you're a
Moving up in the
Spotify
world.
listener, yes, we are. If you're a Spotify listener, Apple Music listener, which because we're getting on Apple Music, this audio will just be for that also. So if you can't see it on the video, feel free to go to the YouTube. It is at the Comic Collector Podcast. Give it a search on the search bar. It'll be on there. And, well, welcome, Tom. You excited?
Oh yeah, I'm back. Better than ever.
Yeah, we're
A lot of things to discuss. We took the week off last week, the July 4th.
busy times, so we're trying to get on a nice schedule. It's very tough in the real world when you have jobs and stuff, and you can't do this on a regular basis. But now we're here. We take a lot of time out to get this done. So happy to be here and bring you guys all this news and stuff. It's gonna be a weird schedule coming up because of the national, but we're gonna get some content going there. And now that we're on the video, we're gonna get some cool more content for you and got the Twitter coming, get a little TikToks maybe, who knows? But yeah, so let's get to some headlines. These are going to be probably from like the last 2 weeks. Right now we got Harper. I think he hit the quick IL stint.
Quick one. He's back. Same with Schwarber. They're both back. Played tonight. Lost to the A's, of course.
The Red Sox did too for one game, but it's whatever. Yeah, I was kind of worried because Harper's season was amazing. It was amazing. I was a little worried he was going to miss some extended time, but he came back pretty quick. It's a little tough to. It's going to be a tough situation to beat Ohtani, obviously for MVP, because he's fucking ridiculous. But overall, Harper's having also a really, really good season.
And they were talking about that on the during the game today that basically at the end of the year, do you think a MVP is deserving if they don't play the field?
DHs can win MVP. You know, there's a DH. It's a DH world now.
An MVP is an all-around candidate. But
great. That is probably a factor into the decision. I'm not going to say it's absolutely not. But when you look at those stats for Ohtani, it's hard to deny that he really is truly the most valuable player in this league. So,
right.
Next is great to hear for baseball and the hobby and everything. Mike Trout eyeing a late July return. Obviously, most likely he's not going to be dealt at the deadline. It's going to be too late with the injury and everything. But can't wait to see him back in baseball. How about this, man? I got a cool headline. Wyatt Langford hit for the cycle.
Finally starting to pan out, it looks like. Starting to figure out major league pitching. Takes everybody a little bit, especially this year. A lot of the rookies have been struggling when they first come up.
Yeah, absolutely. I just think it's, the way his cards were priced before with all the hype and everything right out of the product of draft 23. Just absolutely draft 23, yeah. And the hype, Bowman first PSA 10 is going for close to $900. I think they were. I'm not sure. I think they have since dropped quite a bit to like 400 or 500. But after the cycle and how he's playing, you can only assume they're going to keep going up. And maybe he goes for a second half Rookie of the Year candidacy again. You can't say no to that, right?
It's wide open. There's favorites, but the way that people have been getting called up this year, there's really nobody that you can say specifically is going to be the Rookie of the Year. This year's been the craziest we've seen, and probably past 10 years at least. You're getting called up.
Oh god, yeah, like prospects right now, and I think it's only going to get crazier, especially when we have the draft coming Sunday, which we'll obviously get to. It's going to be insane for the rest of the year. Next is a cool one. This guy is fucking dominating. Brooks Lee, like, my God, dude, he can't, like, with the Royce Lewis injury. Brooks Lee just stepped right in, and I was kind of worried about his power numbers because he talked about his swing, and he's always been a very high prospect, pretty expensive in my opinion. But he's coming up. His power swings look great. He's hitting over 300 in this short stint in MLB. I do actually have this one. See it? A little
Yep.
bit of glare there. There you go. His short print from Bowman, and that's a PSA 10. I have that one, and I'm pretty pumped about it. It's already going up in price and everything. He's a stud. I mean, he's looking amazing right now. What are you thinking?
I it's a coin flip, in my opinion. Anything could happen. We've seen it. You have a couple stats that I'm a stats guy. So let's see here. Brooksley, 2% walk rate so far.
Not great. Very
Not
aggressive.
great, so exactly. And then what else does he have? A 6% barrel rate, which we were talking about, and we'll get to a little bit later about another player. But those are kind of another two things that a lot of people look at in a sense that 2% walk rate, what does that tell you? Swings a lot. Swinging a lot can either result in high average or low average. So, I mean, off to a hot start. We'll see. Anything could happen. Could end up being a 300 hitter, or he could end up being a 240 hitter.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of see his swing is like almost similar, kind of Luis Arias. When you're looking at his swing, it's a very short. It's not like he's like short and quick. It's a short swing, but he's not flying to the ball. He's just kind of trying to barrel the ball up. Maybe not a good rate of barrel per se, but he's just trying to get contact on the ball and slap it to any place he can get. And he is driving the ball. He's got a few homers. He's looking really good. I mean, and for a team that constantly loses Royce Lewis, I mean, he's a perfect fill-in, and he's playing, I think, for like, immediate hobby hype. I mean, he's really showing. Maybe he's a real star in this league, and the hobby can still follow behind him.
Yeah.
One for me and you. This headline, I know you're gonna love it. Kumar Rocker. Is actually just went out on a rehab recently, so that's pretty cool. I'm actually really excited for that one.
Yeah, Tommy John, right?
Yeah, second, I think. I think it's a second one, maybe, or he had a shoulder injury and then he had Tommy John. So I mean, I'm pumped to see him back. I mean, I know me and you have always really liked him since his time at Vanderbilt. So yeah,
what 24 now?
He's probably I believe he's entering his age 20. He might be turning 25 soon.
Yeah. So realistically, Rangers could always use pitching. That's their one downfall.
Mm-hmm.
So
I'm wondering because,
but the following year, I would say more than anything.
Yeah, I'm wondering maybe because of where his age is. If maybe they just after the rehab and everything, because he's been up for a while, he's finally back pitching after the rehab. Maybe they start firing him right into AAA.
Yes, you're getting to the point. It's going to be now or never.
Absolutely. I love Kumar Rocker. I think his stuff is still some of the best stuff we've ever seen in college baseball, and his hobby stuff is still really, really cheap. It dropped so heavily, so I think he could be a little fun buy, but again, err with caution because he might end up being a relief pitcher. So
that's the biggest problem, trying to prospect pitching. You can either strike it rich, or you're going to get a guy that has 3 Tommy John surgeries later, and that Bowman first that you bought for $10.15 that you thought you could turn around to sell for $60 ends up being $2.50, $2.50, $250.
Mm-hmm. Right. And next one, we got Brady House to AAA. This was one that was weird to me, purely because he was struggling a bit with the average. Long ball was there. We know his natural raw power is out of this world. Kind of an odd one for the hobby because he doesn't have a Bowman first auto. He has a lot of mega box autos and those like variation autos that the second year autos in Bowman and everything. What are you thinking on it? I mean, I know you do follow the Nationals a bit and stuff. So what are you thinking?
I'm not a fan.
Really?
I think it's going to be another Carter Keyboom situation where he's overhyped in the minors, and he's a very good quadruple A player.
I like him. I like him a lot. I have invested in him a little bit. I don't have my big ones anymore. I had a couple big ones. I really like him. I think I think next year, if you're buying him real early in the off season, I think when spring training comes around, his shit's gonna boom like a motherfucker. And maybe you can even see him get the call this year. I mean, the way they're moving up people like with Cruz and stuff, I mean, don't be surprised, you know?
I mean, yeah, the Nationals are still making a play too. What are they, third or fourth in that division? But they're only a
Hmm.
few games behind the Mets, Braves.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you might try anything to keep up with those teams and see if you can make a playoff push. But
Yeah.
looking at House's like in-depth stats, nothing really screams that he's not going to be good in the majors. It's just kind of a
Hmm.
hunch that I have.
I
Wa-
think the
Watching,
alarming thing is probably the K percentage. It's probably the most alarming thing, which, I mean, again, at his age, I think he's still 22. At his age and his aggressive play at the ball, he hits a lot of homers. I mean, dude's still got to grow into his own. You know, he's still only 22, 23 years old. So I really like him. I think he could be a good five-tool player. His speed is probably not great, but his hobby hype is enough for me to keep throwing money into him until I don't need to. So,
fair enough.
this one is crazy. I mean, have you seen Samar Johnson right now?
I did actually see some today about what he's
He's kind of going crazy right now. Like, I mean, he's hot, crushing the ball left and right. I don't have exact stats, but the reason I put him on our headlines is because he's going crazy, and I think he's a real uh, quote unquote buy low, because his prices have since fallen right off the roof. They went, you know, Santa Claus on Christmas has a fall. He fell right off. But right now, I mean, his stuff's probably booming a little bit from that low. I had a buddy of mine actually purchased the Bowman First Auto Black PSA 10, and dude, is it clean? It's so sick, and I think he got it for pretty cheap. So I think it's a really good time to buy some Tamar Johnson. He's really known as the purest hitter in that draft, as we know from high school. I mean, good time to buy, in my opinion, for him. This one sucks because me and Sean really like him. We got Ricky Tiedemann leaving his start yesterday with left forearm tightness. When you hear forearm tightness for a player, that's no bueno, especially for a pitcher. So, if you are a Tiedemann investor, I know he's kind of on the middle expensive side for pitchers. It's not like a ton of money. This probably sucks because this could very well mean a TJ for Ricky Tiedemann.
I mean, he's kind of struggled at AAA ever since getting called up, even last year. AA was fine, and then AAA kind of seems like when he was starting to face the ex-major league hitters, it's been more or less underwhelming than we expected. And on top of it, 2 injuries later already, nothing is really standing out in the sense that I got to go run and buy something of his. I haven't.
Yeah.
Nor will I probably, because I got already burned with one guy that you'll probably remember, Brendan McKay.
Yes, I do.
Pretty harshly because stud. And then injuries got to him, and look where we are now. So.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. Brendan McKay was a tough one. This one, you can show off your stuff and what you just did. Perfect time, in my opinion. Reese Hines, the dude is absolutely killing it since his call up for the Reds, just out of nowhere. I remember when I got the alert, I was like, interesting, let's see how he was doing. His minor league numbers were lackluster. I know his best year was like a 267. In my opinion, pure fluke. Absolutely fucking sell now. And you were a holder for quite a bit, so you could show off what you just sold.
So, funny story about him. Do you know back in 2018 why his name got so popular?
No idea.
He was part of the high school home run derby during the All-Star break. And him and Bobby Witt Jr.
Blaze Jordan.
Yep. So I actually purchased we'll show her the lower end one first if it pops up nicely. A USA.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yep.
not
Oh,
bad.
looks good. That's a nice card. I love
This
those. I love those.
USA's clean in my opinion. This one's out
Me
of
too.
199. And then the bigger one that I do not remember what I bought it for. I'm assuming it wasn't a lot because I'm not a high-end purchase guy. A blue is it a
Mojo.
Mojo refractor
Mhm.
out of 150 out of Bowman
That's a
Mecca.
blue. Is that a blue?
It's a blue, yep.
What'd you end up selling that for?
$100. And
I
honestly,
can,
after
I
today,
can only assume you made 1,000% on that card. You probably bought it for what, $10?
my guess is probably around 10 to 15 because that's where I really sit with a lot of purchases, especially for
I
prospects.
mean, that's a great investment. It's a great money made.
But that's kind of why I never sell. As long as the guy's still on a minor league roster, I will hold until
Yeah.
he's either out of the league or not. And if he gets bounced, it's $1 box. You know what I mean?
Well, dude, he's a perfect friggin' guy that, did not have a lot of hype and then absolutely has a quick tear. And the hype carries it and you make a ton of money. That's where you make your money on these randoms,
Last I looked too, he was 2 for 4 tonight with another home run. So that's 3 in a matter of 5 days?
Yeah, it's insane. I mean, I think it was a great time to sell him.
Oh, yeah.
Next one is our boy Justin Crawford getting called up to AA. At the moment, this is what I have left of Justin Crawford. Little glare there, but I mean, it's not a 75 orange auto PSA 10 from Sterling. I personally, I'm a big fan of Justin Crawford. This is a real big step for him to AA. In Sean's words, this is where you really learn how to see if you're successful when you face the AA pitching. I think this is the big step. So, that's a big one for Justin Crawford.
Now,
Monitor him.
did they stop his pitching? Is he just a hitter now? I mean, I should know because I'm a Phillies fan, but
I didn't even know Justin Crawford was pitching. Are you thinking Reggie Crawford from the Giants?
Yep, Reggie Crawford.
Yeah.
There it is.
Reggie Crawford is just pitching now. Next one is a guy that called up maybe a month and a half ago, Drew Thorpe. We're a big Drew Thorpe fan on the podcast here. He had a really rough first start, but since I think he's really coming to his own and showing that he is a big league pitcher. Drew Thorpe's still really cheap. It sucks that he's a White Sox, obviously. But overall, I think he's looking good. He's got to get his command a little better. He's not walking a ton of people in his last few starts, but his strikeout numbers have been up and down. I just think he's a really, really talented pitcher. It was probably a top 5 changeup in the MLB.
I'm gonna say his pitch mix is definitely elite level, so we'll see.
Mm-hmm.
But any White Sox player, you don't know.
Absolutely. I mean, just because of the team he's on, it's hard to him to gain value, but he is incredibly cheap for who he is. Next one is fucking Paul Skeens. He almost threw a no-hitter last night, was pulled in the 8th. Well, he didn't get in the 8th. He went 7 innings, 11 Ks, no hits. You want me a hot opinion? Is honestly, Paul Skeens is the best pitcher in the MLB.
Really good.
I can't argue no. I mean, his stuff is like unbelievably expensive, like unfathomably. Like, if you go look up Bowman first on eBay, even a raw, they're pushing 200, maybe more. I mean, it's absolutely fucking insane what he's doing. He is truly an enigma, and I think his prices will drop. I don't think people should be going out and buying his stuff like crazy. I mean, if you really want him, there's a chance it'll always be high. And I do think it'll always be high, maybe as time goes on too. I mean, but this dude really is the best pitcher in MLB. And his car, I think at this point, barring injuries, Tommy John, whatnot, his stuff will be probably the most valuable pitcher in the MLB.
So, yeah, I mean, I do think that prices will go down, mainly not because of probably how he ends up pitching, but in the sense that he's going to be in a lot more products as the year goes on. So once you get more products,
we're gonna get two Topps Chrome rookie autos this
Right.
year.
And once those start to come out, I think that'll end up driving the market down a little bit, only because more supply, even though demand's still high, the more supply is going to drive prices lower, especially maybe not Bowman Chrome, but you're not lower than Bowman Chrome, because obviously Bowman Chrome is one of the highest price points for
Yeah.
any
See,
All-Star.
and my argument with that is yes, his Bowman first auto will be obviously higher, but my argument is that he got called up so goddamn fast. You're not seeing a kid from 2018 finally make his debut in 2024 and look like a child compared to a man. This is a guy who made his debut 6 months later, and the pictures show it. I mean, he's a grown ass man. He came out of his LSU college career. He played I believe he played a full 4 years. He
Went to Air Force.
won national and LSU because that's where he wanted. Did he go to Air Force?
One of the naval schools, but I'm pretty sure it was Air Force. Yeah.
Oh, and then he clearly transferred to LSU. I mean,
hits and home runs there too. So he was a power hitter at one point too. So the dude could do it all.
Yeah, I mean, we'll never see him hit, but
yeah,
he's the most valuable pitcher in the MLB in my opinion, and it's not even fucking close. I don't think there's anyone that even contends to him, even honestly in history. Okay, like you can
absurd. That is absurd.
It's not absurd. If you go look at guys from the 50s and the 60s or the 40s, I bet you their cards don't fucking in a PSA 9. Some of these best pitchers in history don't fucking compare to what a out of 99 or a refractor auto of Paul Skeen's PSA 10 Bowman first auto. They don't even compare in price. I bet his shit now blows those out of the water of any legendary pitcher.
Sandy Koufax goes for quite a bit of money.
I can imagine a Koufax from like what was Koufax in the 60s?
I think, yeah.
Yeah, I bet you a Koufax PSA 10 doesn't go for more than a Skeens out of 25 first auto PSA 10.
Find out. Maybe.
We'll do some research on it. My last one is something that actually fucking hurts me. James Wood got called up. He had first few games playing really well. Kind of iffy right now, but probably one of the most hyped prospects of the year. Gets called up, and his Bowman first autos drop. Like what?
Even after his first home run?
Yeah, dude. Like his Bowman first PSA 10, because I have one here. It's in my case right next to me. The one sold for $450, and then last week there was 2 sold at $389.99.
And what did you buy it for?
Like, I bought mine for $430. So, it's like I'm not worried about it because a year later it's going to go incredible. I mean, I'm going to the National, so his stuff's going to be pretty expensive there. But like, I'm fine holding it. I love James Wood, but like, what the hell is going on? This is an enigma. This is exactly the opposite of our philosophy, and it usually follows true for most people. But like right now, it's not. Like, I don't know why. Very, very weird to me.
The only thing that I can think of, and it's weird because Raws seem to have the most up, down, unpredictable value-wise.
Mm-hmm.
PSA 10's kind of, because Wood was such a high prospect, if he was already, say, 350 in AAA,
yeah,
how much more will somebody be willing to spend just because he made it to the majors? That's not Raw. Like, kind of like me. A lot of people look for Raw that aren't in it for the big money, like looking to spend maybe 40, 50 bucks for him, 78, whatever. I'm not going to look regardless. If I could get a Raw for that price, I'm probably never going to pay the $350 for a PSA. But that's just me. I don't know. There could be a lot of people that look at it the way I do. There could be a lot of people looking at it the way you do. But the way those price points are telling me, it's a lot more the way I think, more so than the way that a lot of other people think the PSA stuff.
Yeah. It's just a weird situation because usually we'd see it surpassed that 500 mark from where it was sitting at like the low mid 400s, and it has since dropped. The one at 390 did get canceled and he relisted, which probably scummy, but I kind of get it. But I mean, it's just kind of a weird situation for that. But that's our headlines for this week. We're gonna get a lot next week. I mean, there's gonna be so much after All-Star week and everything, and we'll do some mid-season stuff and see where everyone's sitting. But right now, let's now that we're kind of getting into the mid-season, who are your three guys right now that you've seen this year that have been playing really well and kind of deserve that hobby love that you kind of haven't seen?
Number one, I don't know exact. I haven't looked to see what kind of cards he has. If he does in fact have a Bowman first, pretty sure he does have a Topps Chrome rookie auto, but that's Brent Rooker.
Mm-hmm.
He's on the A's though, as everybody knows, so he'll never get the hobby love that he does deserve. There are rumors swirling that he is going to be part of a deal at deadline, so hopefully that
Mm-hmm.
does kind of help it, especially if it's somebody like the Dodgers. Dodgers are so depleted, they might even be looking to add somebody. So depending if he does get traded, does get moved to a contender, I do think that he deserves a lot more love than he gets. Because I don't know what his price point is, but it can't be that high being an Oakland Athletic.
No, I mean, he also is a very much late bloomer from the Twins. He was on Brent Rooker a long time ago, a couple years ago, a few years ago. Yeah, very much late bloomer. I just think it's kind of like the sexy factor, you know. The average is like a mid 240s, 250s, got some good power. He's a valuable asset to a team. He's just not a valuable asset to someone's collection, you know. Not the sexy name everyone wants.
Right. But 280 this year, 18 homers.
It's
Never
very
hear about
impressive. I
him
mean,
because, once again, what team is he on? You won't ever hear about how he does.
agreed. Who you got for second?
This one was kind of hyped during spring training, but it did come to fruition, and he is as advertised. It's Tarek Skubal.
I
He
think he's
he is the
actually
real deal. I have
definitely getting his a little bit of hobby love this year. I think he's
yeah,
definitely. I mean, he went from a guy that was in the same boat as Casey Mize and Matt Manning to being a very much loved. Uh, Probably, I think he probably has been getting his love. I think he deserves more. I absolutely think he deserves more.
well,
But I think he's been getting some love.
I think by the end of the year, it's going to end up being who would you rather have, Skeens or Skubal? I think that they're going to be
Yeah,
that much higher than everybody else.
absolutely. I again, like, pitchers are tough because Paul Skeens, again, we said he's the enigma. He is the right out of the gate, absolutely elite. Just you know you're going. It's like when we used to watch Jacob DeGrom, and Jacob DeGrom in his prime. You're going into a start knowing that this guy's gonna fucking K 9, 10, 11 guys. You know, and dominate and have the craziest shit you ever see in your life, and everyone wants him because he's the dominant guy. Jacob DeGrom still gives us hobby love, but he can't stay on a goddamn field. I think Tarek Skubal, again, being on the Tigers, they need some success, and Skubal needs to have. I mean, he's going to have his year, obviously, Cy Young contention, but he's got to do it again next year, and probably the year after that to even get. I mean, he's to get into that upper echelon of value for cards. I think he's a great buy and hold. Some of his low numbered stuff you can get probably Inception patch autos in a high grade for very fucking cheap, especially rookies. I think you can. I mean, he probably doesn't have anything in Dynasty. He has his Topps Chromes from the very much devoid Topps Chrome 21. I think he's a really great buy. Maybe he's a good for his prices. You could see his raw stuff being a great buy, especially if you have full intention to grade, because they're probably dirt cheap. But I would say for the prices, it's probably a great time to buy his PSA 10s because they're still probably a good, relatively decent price that could go up over time.
And with the Tigers getting younger, you never know. They might be that in that contention in a couple years.
Yeah, there's a few guys we can probably talk about in Tigers that I think we will in a few segments. Um, and go for your third guy.
One that is finally back after being out of the hobby love for probably 3-4 years is Christian Yelich. Finally
Love
looks
it.
like
Love
finally
it.
looks like he's back to 100% healthy, and it's showing. Back
Fuck yes.
almost at
He
330
is
average,
amazing.
10 homers. So I mean, he was never really known as a true power hitter, but
Yeah.
he's putting up numbers that not an MVP type season, but closest he's been since that MVP season.
He's carrying this Milwaukee Brewers team. Right now, Christian Yelich should be getting, I mean, and plus his stuff is from, God, what, 2013?
So yes, I believe so. Because
13 or 14, somewhere around there.
did own a Topps Chrome rookie auto of him, and found it in a $2 box, and sold it. Ended up selling it for 75, I think.
There you go. I mean, that's things you can look at for these guys. And Christian Yelich, is he going to get that whole hobby love? No, I think he's going to have to do it another year. But I mean, Christian Yelich? He didn't win MVP, did he?
He won MVP, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, he did, didn't he?
I'm 90% sure he did. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, this guy should absolutely be. Don't give him the the Jose Abreu treatment of he won an MVP bullshit. No, this dude won a fucking MVP. You know, he's good. He's
Yeah.
fucking good, and he's a star again. He finally bit the injury bug, and I think Christian Yelich, if he does it I mean, he's been sitting out a lot. He's not I'm not going to say he's not useful anymore. I think he's a stud. He's kind of going for the Ichiro approach of average and some decent home run power. I think if you see Yelich do this next 2 years, his stuff could be an absolute elite buy right now.
I was looking during like spring training and everything, and you were able to get like middle tier, not high end, but middle tier stuff of his for 25 to $30. I haven't looked to see what they're at, but I assume that they're a decent portion higher, maybe 40, 50 range, but still the back injuries was always his problem. And he always brought it up in podcasts that I've listened to. And now that it seems like that they finally subsided, he's back to being his old self.
Yeah. One thing for me about Yelich, I actually have a cool story about him. Yelich for me was someone that I was always scared to buy the last 2 years. Obviously, it's hard. It's a gamble. You know, you want to buy a guy who struggled, injury bug, kind of was shitty. It's hard to gain faith in these guys. You're taking a shot in the dark. A guy brought me a Christian Yelich 1-of-1 gold ink auto. It was raw, but it was sick. I forgot what, maybe museum collection or something. And I wanted to get it. I told him I'll trade for it at that time. I didn't want to put like cash into it or anything. And we were ready to make a deal. And after that show, I never saw him again. And I'm regretting not getting that card now because I probably could have made $100-200 on it. But also, I mean, a 1-of-1 gold ink auto of him would be sick, you know. I love that though. I mean, that's a really great shout for the year. He really does deserve more hobby love. He's a stud. You could also probably include Marcelo Zuna in there, another Marlin. He's another good one, but there's a lot of controversy there. I don't want to dive deep into that. I'll give you my three. My number one is Riley Green. His Topps Chrome rookie auto PSA 10 goes like $100 to $150. I literally dropped it. I got one right here. I got one right there. I mean, it's a great looking card. 2020 was it 23? 23 was a great looking product. His auto's really cool, distinct, and they're going for so cheap. It's an absolute. I think it's a must buy for him. He's becoming the face of the Tigers. Saying Tigers getting younger. Screwball's going off. I think Riley Green's going off. I think he's due for an even better second half. In my opinion, hobby love is going to grow for him. He's still incredibly young, 25 years old, and he's going to be a face of a team who does have some really good guys in the lurch in that farm. And I think he can only grow from here. My second one is CJ Abrams. I have a CJ Abrams right here. This is his black mini. It's a PSA 9. It is what it is. I have his short print refractor PSA 10 in my case too. Oh, it's right here. Because Topps Chrome kind of fucked up. Obviously, we all know the story about 22 Topps Chrome or 22 Topps Chrome. I keep getting messed up. If you don't know about 22 Topps Chrome, they didn't put a lot of their rookie autos in the boxes for the hobbies, and they gave away the silver packs. And this is the short print from that product, and it's a PSA 10. So I think CJ Abrams, especially like we said, the Nationals are growing, and if they make the playoffs this year or even sniff the playoffs, they have so much talent. You're going to see them be like the last time Nationals won the World Series, but it just in a much better situation with their young star power. Their pitching is growing. Mackenzie's getting there, and I think CJ Abrams is a monster. He's been his hobby, his love has been gaining traction. But I mean, an absolute easy buy for me. He's only going to go up, and he could be a great 5-tool player. Something that we've like almost seen from Byron Buxton before all the injuries and everything. I think he could be something along that line. Next guy, I'll be a homer. How about my guy, Ceddanne Rafaela? I've been watching a ton. I mean, I have more. I have a ton. That's going to be one of my guys at the National. I'm going to try to get a nice one. If you've been watching the games recently, he is just elite defensively in the outfield and shortstop. He's crushing the ball. He's putting it out. Home run power is insane. Speed's insane. Just dynamic. Instant, franchise favorite. And I think he's really due to come into his own. He went from like a 190 average in the beginning of the season when he got called up to like a 240 something right now. Just absolute stud. I know him and Shurio have kind of a similar situation where they got called up and they threw the extension on them. A bit of an age difference in 3 years, but I mean, this kid is fucking ridiculous. And I think he's showing, he should be because he's been a prospect longer age, but he's showing what kind of prospect he truly is and what kind of talent he is. So what do you think about that?
I like them all. I'm a huge Abrams guy. I always have been, even coming out of high school. What do you go, 2 behind Adley, I think?
I think so, yeah.
So I've always been high on him. Rafaela has shown that he can compete in the major league level. And how old is he?
23.
Yeah. So the fact he's doing this already, it's a really good sign. Yeah. I know it was Riley Green. Riley Green, I also think he's very good. I think he's going to. But I
think if he can focus, if he can get his average to a constant 275, 280, I don't see why we can't see this guy hit 35, 40 home runs. I know power was never his game, but he's clearly gaining that ability, and he's being a dynamic leader on this team for the Tigers. So
I agree.
This is one that I'll carry with, and I'll lead this one. This one kind of sucks for me because there's a few guys on my first half disappointments for the year. One of the guys I had an immense amount of investment in. My first one is Zach Geloff. I wanted to invest in Zach Geloff, but his spring training hype was fucking crazy. Like his green Bowman First Auto PSA 10 for the color match was going for crazy money, and now it's going for less than $200. He's been. His power numbers aren't bad. 10 homers on the year. He's hitting like right around the 200 mark. Mendoza line ain't great. You don't want to be around there, but his prices have fallen so hard. And again, on the A's, he has fallen in the shadow of Jacob Wilson and Colby Thomas right now. So he's been my huge disappointment. His stuff has fallen off an absolute cliff. Good investment, maybe. I think he's still a very talented player that can do a lot in the future. But his prices have fallen a lot. So maybe a good investment right now for hobby stuff. And it's been a tough year for him. So, number 2 is a guy that was on my list right next to Riley Green for who I thought was going to take a huge step in the stardom. Same product as Bobby Witt Jr. Spencer Torkelson. Just absolutely not great. Got sent down. He's kind of trying to figure it out. I looked up his stats. In minors, he's only hitting 246 with 5 homers. I mean, his OPS is a 675 in the minors right now. It's just pretty brutal for Torque. 24 years old, still relatively young, but I think after his last year, 30 home runs, I think we expect a lot more from Torque this year. And my last one is Jordan Walker. Jordan Walker kind of fucked me this year. I had 2 pretty big ones. I just Topps Finest out of 25 rookie auto, PSA 10 it. And then I used Purple Sparkle, PSA 10, Topps Chrome auto. He's in the minors hitting 251 with 4 homers, and he's had 220. He spent almost a half season down there already. His OPS is a 704. He's only 22, man. But what do you think? What do you think is going on with Jordan Walker?
Wasn't his problem ground balls as well as strikeouts?
Yeah.
So really depends on how he can combat that. We haven't. I mean, Vladdy finally did in his year 5 in the majors. So because he's so young, we might actually be able to see him get out of the woods, but he's a guy that I haven't touched at all. Don't think I will.
Yeah. I have since moved on from him. I actually made a trade. I traded both those cards and some Cedon Rafaelas, some decent ones, nothing crazy. I ended up getting this Jackson Churio Purple Bowman first auto, BGS 95. If I don't move this to the National, I'm probably planning to crack it and send a PSA. Like the surface is the only thing that was a 9, and I could easily clean that off. I'm assuming if it's not too scratched up. It's hard to see through the slab, but I have moved on from my Jordan Walker. It's too hard not. It's been really disappointing. I mean, and I'm looking at the stats now. Even in his 23 AAA year, he only batted 239.
Yeah.
I mean, he had 29 games in AAA, but it's alarming. And you do see people just moving out of him, throwing away. For his age, probably really good to buy now if you want to take that risk. There's a lot of money to be made. It's just his Chrome rookies were last year, and it's pretty brutal for Jordan Walker.
I agree.
So this is one I'm going to bring up. I'm going to actually show you guys some stuff here. Let's see. How are you feeling about Stephen Kwan?
I think he's a high average guy. Probably more power than Luis Rise that we've seen.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, I don't know. He scares me mainly because he's known for his average. So if or when that goes, then it's time.
Yeah, I mean, right now we're looking at Stephen Kwan, dude. He's hitting 359. This is absolutely insane. I know he had a really good rookie year. Last year was kind of like a down year, but I mean, kind of changed things. He has 9 home runs. I mean, dude, this is crazy. And I'll show you real quick on this. Believe it should be sharing the screen here. If you're looking at Stephen Kwan stuff for now, if you see right here, we got this. I shouldn't have done that. Let me go back real quick. We got this Stephen Kwan here. It's his refractor rookie from 22 Topps Chrome, PSA 10 auto, 127. That was in May. Go 2 months. And we're looking June 25th, sold at $300. There's another one here, $300, dude. Like, this is what a jump for Stephen Kwan in price right now. I mean, this is pretty crazy. In my opinion, I don't think it's a really good invest time because I think he's on a real high right now. Maybe Raw, but what are you feeling for Stephen Kwan's prices?
I agree. I think Raw would be the way to go if you do want to get in on it. But also, I would be leery because he is at such a high right now. I mean, to put it in perspective, look at what Ranger Suarez and Luis Gil was doing in the first couple months of the season.
Mm-hmm.
And now like, their price points, they're down already like $40, $50 Raw. So I would be leery in a sense as an investor point to buy now. Just wait till the end of the season. If he continues what he continues with, then you don't buy.
I mean, do you think we can see him hold this 350 mark, even maybe go to the 400 mark?
No.
No shot.
I would probably put his over under set at 338.
It's still pretty fucking impressive.
Don't get me wrong, but 338 is a lot different than 350. Freddie Freeman was doing 330.
I mean, even if you see the Indians make a big trade and win this division.
Well, I mean, the relievers have been absurd this year.
And man, Clase is the best closer in the league.
I mean, yeah, and Hunter Gaddis doesn't get love either. I think he's got like a 1.8 ERA, snub from the All-Star game. And if anything, they're going to need starting pitching. But what team doesn't need starting pitching?
Yeah. So, buy, sell, hold. Stephen Kwan.
So, I would sell. Right now, if I owned one, would not be looking to buy. And I think holding is kind of absurd too because he's such at a high. If you have one, sell it.
I agree, especially with the All-Star bid and everything. You heard it here. I mean, if you got Stephen Kwan, and I can tell you got it for cheap probably last year if you invested. Stephen Kwan is a great sell right now, in my opinion. Just monster sell. If you have some laying around, his parallels probably go for a decent amount of money. Yeah, I don't think you should grade right now because it's going to come in too late and you're not going to make any money. Sorry, not sorry. So let's go to, we'll go to your little segment, your buy, sell, hold.
Yeah, I think it's a good thing to get into the podcast. Maybe take 5 to 8 names a week and buy. I like the hold too. So we could do those 3.
Yeah.
So my first one, we've talked about a couple of these guys already. My first one is Brady House. Mm-hmm. Me personally, I'm selling because, as I stated before, there is nothing that tells me that he's not going to pan out. It's just kind of that intuition. The thing we've seen with Carter Kieboom scares me, and the fact that they have C.J. Abrams, so he's going to move them to third and or second to begin with. So yeah. I am a big seller on that one.
Gotcha. For me, I'm a big Brady House fan. I mean, I haven't seen his price trends right now. It's tough. It's a tough situation because now with this call up to AAA, I enjoy Brady House. For me, I'm still buying. He's become a really big name, and I think he's ever growing, especially with, like we said, the Nationals are calling guys up like crazy. Possibly with them making a decent trade or just kind of continue what they're doing. I think their pitching staff is too iffy to actually make the playoffs this year. But I'm buying Dylan. Sorry, I was thinking Dylan Beavers. Brady House. I'm buying Brady House. I like his power. I think if he can really get into that 260 range, he could be an absolute solid power outfielder.
Okay. My second one, another guy that we've talked about earlier, was Colt Keith. Another one that I'm really not high on. I think a lot of it is the issue that's going to be the lineup around him for years. As you said, Torkelson is kind of making his way towards a possible bust. And without having those type of guys in the lineup, what type of protection is he going to have? But he has an 87 average exit velocity. And for a lot of like people that don't really pay attention to that stuff, that's on the lower end, which scares me. It means, and I don't know. It's something's telling me that he got off that slow start already, and he is heating up a little bit, as we stated earlier. But so once again, it's like that intuition that I've been around a lot of busts that I thought were going to be good, and or guys that I thought were busts that were going to be good, and this one just screams stay away from him, in my opinion. How about you?
Yeah. So again, I'm gonna take it on the Brady House train. You saw Cole Keith get the extension right away. He was again a spring training guy that was absolutely very expensive, and you've seen with the struggles on his just like Zach Geloff, really cooled down on the price and what he's doing. But because they had the faith in that extension, he's a guy I am absolutely I do not hold any Cole Keith. He was way too expensive for me. If you're selling at a monster loss. So right now, if you're an owner, I'm holding. If you don't have any, I'm buying. I'm buying Cole Keith. I think at his price point right now, I think he's an absolute monster buy. Very talented. He can play multiple positions, second and third. He again on a team that's rising like the Tigers. I mean, Riley Green is there, and I think Colt Keith has a real possibility to step in as that sidekick star per se. And with his prices coming down as much as they did, I think he's a really great buy. And if you're a holder, you have to hold. It's not a question. You're not going to take that L. I don't think Colt Keith is going to be a bust. I think he's a pretty good, and he's really showing it with the homers right now. He's still relatively young. He's got a lot to show, and I'm a big fan of Colt Keith, so I'm going to buy. And if you're an owner, I'm holding.
Okay, my next one, and we got to throw Philly in there because I'm a Phillies fan. Justin Crawford, which we also talked about earlier, but we didn't get really in depth with him. But I'm a huge seller on him right now. So I was looking at his stats. He has a 60% ground ball rate, which those are Vladdy type numbers. Those are anybody that struggles. That's telling me that he's probably gonna sit at. I know he's at like a 300 right now, but he goes to the majors and keeps those numbers. He's going to be sitting at like a 220, 230 average, and he also has a 6% walk rate. That is very alarming, in my opinion, to have those two combinations.
I agree because of who his father is. I think Carl Crawford was such a great power speed guy, and he did probably have, he did have a good amount of walks. I mean, he definitely didn't walk at a 6% clip. He walked at probably a little bit more, and just Carl Crawford early in his career was a speed guy. As fast as shit, hit a lot of triples. Alarming. I agree with you. I think I really like Justin Crawford. Okay. What I don't like is that he's not a power guy, and he's hitting so many ground balls. Like you said, it's alarming. And the reason I'm agreeing with you for sell is because he's been on every single trade rumor I have heard for the Phillies. I think he's a point where they look at him. I think they just moved him to AA, maybe trying to get a point, like show what you can do, showcase your stuff. We're gonna fucking show us some good stuff. We're moving you for a star player. And I am agreeing. I think you really want to sell Justin Crawford right now before he's moved to the White Sox.
I mean, yeah, and in a way, selling can also be holding, regardless of the way you look at it. Because if you want to hold him too, in case he does end up being that type of player, what is he, a top 5 prospect in the Phillies organization? So
he might be number 2 right now.
Yeah, in a sense, selling wise, we're saying we don't have faith in him. So it doesn't mean sell doesn't instantly mean like, oh, I got to go sell him at a loss. Just we're saying that we don't have a lot of faith. We're not going to be buying. We don't have the intuition of him being a very good major league player to where he's going to be making you a lot of money to get a new car, a new house. He's not going to be doing that in either of our opinions. That's basically what we're
Yeah, I agree. I used to be a big fan. I mean, like I said, this is my only one left. I sold the rest pretty much. I have like a Bowman first parallel raw. I'm gonna 90% sure I'm gonna move it at the National if I can. Maybe as a sweetener and a trade deal I want to make. People like him a lot. I mean, it's an orange. It pops. Why not?
I don't know. Let's do
What
one
else
more.
you got?
How's that sound? Shane Baz.
Player. See, I wanted the other ones.
Shane Baz finally coming back from a year hiatus with his arm injury. Once again, highly touted prospect. 3 years back, probably. Still just as highly touted this year. Kind of struggling to start, but he's also faced the Yankees. He's faced a lot of high power offenses in his 2 to 3 starts, whatever he's had. But I still will be buying. I think that he has an opportunity and a chance, especially with the development that the Rays do with their pitching prospects, to be a very high-end pitcher, as you see with Taj Bradley as of late, or with Glass now when he was with the Rays. I don't know how they do it, but they know how to develop pitching. And with what Baz has seen and have, hard fastball, I'm pretty sure he throws a curve that bites pretty well. A lot of upside. I think there's obviously downside with his arm injuries that he's had, but with the upside that he carries, I do think that is a huge buy because I was looking yesterday and his Bowman first starts like $20. Which
I mean,
low risk, high reward.
You can probably get his PSA 10s for under $50 on an auto, Yeah. This is something that's hard for me. It's not even like a buy, sell, hold. It's tough for me to. Is it more of a? Is it worth it? I mean, Shane Baz has probably some. He does have some really great stuff, and he's talented as hell. And the Rays often trade these guys. But for me, my guy, I mean, for the buy, sell, hold. I'll buy Shane Baz. It's just I don't have a lot of hope behind it for like a investment point. If you're a Rays fan, Shane Baz is a great buy right now because he's so cheap and could absolutely step into a number 1 or 2 role on the Rays. For me, if there's a Rays pitcher I'm going to invest in on a buy low, I'm buying Shane McClanahan. I know Shane McClanahan got hurt and he's been out for a while. I think he had a TJ.
He did.
But instead of Baz, I'd be buying Shane McClanahan and holding because Shane McClanahan last year, or when he was pitching, it was 23, or late 22 or whatever. Just absolute dominance, like just a stud, and had drew the league's attention and fandom attention. He'd be my buy sell hold for that, and I'm buying Shane McClanahan. I absolutely would buy Shane Baz too, and because of how cheap he is.
And Taj Bradley, I would buy all
there. I think in 2-3 years, if they don't trade him, the Rays could have a top 5 rotation in the league.
100%.
One dude I want to throw is a couple guys that you probably think we had them both listed. Just real quick, we're going to throw them. Tamar Johnson, I want to do a buy, sell, hold. Like we said, really, really expensive in the beginning of the year. Dropped heavily. I think he's still a absolute monster, in my opinion, and he's bombing the ball right now. I know you're not the biggest high end guy, and Tamar Johnson is quite the high end guy for price right now, but obviously in your recent acquisitions and selling of Reese Hines, if you had a decent deal for maybe a Tamar Johnson raw Bowman first auto, would you take the leap and kind of jump into him for an investment?
I probably still would not. I will say he is very collectible because of his hitting. There was one thing that I noticed during spring training they were talking about too, is that he might end up being a huge liability with his fielding, which And we haven't seen Leo Peguero yet, which also scares me.
Peguero's gone. He's done. He's
He's 23.
Listen. I'm giving the shout at Peguero. He's been a highly touted prospect for so long. He's been up and down, up and down. I got zero hope for Peguero. None for me.
But I'm just in the standpoint of if I'm going to take that role and rolling over to a prospect, Termarr Johnson would probably not be in my top 20.
Oh no shit. Okay. I didn't think you'd say that. For me, I've always liked Termarr Johnson. He was always a really big hype name in Bowman draft. I think he's a huge hold right now. Absolutely huge hold. Metaphorically speaking, you don't have any, obviously. I still think he's a buy too. Purely because Paul Skeens is really drawing the attention for Pittsburgh. And if you see him become stardom and carry that team to maybe a playoff spot and consistency, Termarr Johnson gets called up, and that's an absolute monster additive to your offense. So I think, and for his fall, I mean, they're probably booming right now again, but he could be a buy because his prices have fallen so hard. This is one. It's a very low end guy, but he's been showing how good he's been. How do you feel about Christian Campbell for the Red Sox? He's kind of like boomed out of nowhere.
To be honest, I actually have never heard of him, and that's sad for me to say because I try to prospect a lot. But I mean, looking at the numbers, I was kind of surprised. He's been a high average guy, I noticed. Huge on base guy, which will get you playing time in the league no matter what. So in the small sample size that I looked at him, I would say that he could potentially be a buy because the Red Sox are once again trying to turn themselves.
I pulled up his stats real quick right here, and I'll show you on the share screen here. I believe it popped up here. Let's see. I'll add it to here. I think it popped up. Did it pop up?
Yep.
There it is. All right. So if you're listening on Spotify, Christian Campbell this year is hitting. I believe he just got his call to Double A recently. But right now in his minors, he's hitting 349 with 1,000. He had 1,046 OPS. His on base is 457. 12 homers this year. Dude, I mean, he was a compensatory 4th round pick. He played Georgia Tech. I mean, this kid is an absolute monster. He was just drafted last year. I mean, again, and he's really cheap for his Bowman first, like really cheap. I think he's a real interesting guy because of how cheap he is, and I think he could be a really he has since kind of got his name out there and drawn a lot of attention now. But it is really interesting to me at Christian Campbell. I mean, not just because I'm a Sox fan. I just think he's actually really interesting, and you could see him move into the top 5 Red Sox prospects very fast, just like how Roman Anthony did. Could be very, very interesting. Buy, sell, hold Christian Campbell.
I mean, I would have to buy. I don't know what his price point is, but looking at those stats, 1,000 OPS, over 450 on base percentage, kind of hard not to say.
Yeah.
Buy. I would be more intrigued on him than Termarr Johnson. So maybe 21 people ahead of Termarr Johnson.
And the price point's hard to say no to, I think his Bowman first autos, raw, go for about $20.
Oh yeah, then no
brainer. Right up.
No brainer.
Yeah, I mean, you can get a parallel for probably under 50, like a good parallel,
Out of my
price. All right, so a couple things before we wrap up here. A lot of we talk so much about prospecting. I always want to talk about kind of the vets from the last 25 years and who like. We always hear like so many in vintage here: Jackie Robinson, Mickey Mantle, blah blah blah, all the best players in our history. The most iconic names. Who, in your opinion, right now, in the last 25 years in the hobby, especially, who's like when you see a veteran auto, who do you think's like the most appealing and iconic names in our last 25 years since 2000?
So I got a couple names. A couple of guys I have owned and sold, and I kind of regret selling them. But Pujols is my number one. I've always wanted a Pujols. Every time that even the
Hmm.
Leaf, like ones that don't even have his like logos on it, go for close to 180 to $200, which is I'm to me I might never own one, and because of that,
Hmm.
but he's my number one. My number two would be Ken Griffey Jr. And then
Yeah,
it comes with
absolutely. I
one of
think
the
that's
cleanest autos.
he is probably the best auto in baseball history, in my opinion. And I think he's easily the number one name besides like Trout, I guess, and Otani. For but yeah, we're talking retired guys. Pujols is probably right number two. I think Griffey's number one. Griffey is no doubt the greatest player of our childhood, I guess.
I mean, honestly, you could
Um,
even say greatest player ever if he stayed healthy. If he stayed healthy, the numbers that he was on pace for would have blown
yeah,
Bonds out of the water.
but again, I mean, you're looking at him, and he's even for like the long. He did have a long career, and he did have so many amazing years. Iconic. He played with his dad. I think Griffey is your number one. Um, in the last 25 years since 2000. Pujols is a great one. Yadier Molina is a good one.
You know what's crazy with
And my
Yachty is he's in like the
yeah,
no
it's
product.
expensive.
That's why he
Yeah,
was his
yeah.
time was
His dynasty stuff is pretty fucking sick. I like his dynasty autos. They're very expensive, but they're really cool.
I got a chart
Ichiro's a big shout. Yeah, Ichiro's a big shout. Um, it's tough because also you think about pitchers. Um, for me, for retired, obviously veterans, my number one is actually might be surprising too. It's actually Felix Hernandez. Felix is probably my absolute favorite pitcher from the 2000s, apart from like Pedro Martinez, who's also up there. I mean, you got Felix throwing the perfect game. I think his stuff. If you look at some of his patch autos that are on eBay, they're amazing. With the Mariners star, and they're like 250, 300. I think it is got a fantastic auto too. I think Felix is my favorite pitcher since 2000 for hobby love. He's one of those ones that really pop and was one of my favorites. So, but I got one more topic. We got national in 2 weeks. You will not be coming with us.
or not.
Sean and me are going. We're gonna make some content there. I just want to talk about some of the stuff I will most likely be moving at the national, and some stuff I'll be targeting. Right now, so me and Sean, we pulled a redemption from a Heritage box. It was an Edouard Julien red ink rookie auto, so the special edition real one. Um, he never signed it. Thank God he didn't, because we put in for a substitution, and we ended up getting that guy. If you could see it, it's the let's see if I can tilt this. It's the Ronald Acuna ultraviolet auto out of 99. We ended up getting as our substitution. So that's one I definitely would like to move. I would really like your opinion on this from me at the national. Do I move? Oh, so I can get it clear. There you go. It's a
Yes,
PSA 10 Otani rookie pink. Do I move or do I hold on to this till he wins MVP?
absolutely move it.
I don't know, man.
I mean, he's got an MVP season going on for his 30th time in a row. So
I mean, we could see him be the greatest player of all. I mean, if he's not the greatest player of all time already, you know, it's tough for me to move, and it's only going up in price. So that's a tough one for me to move.
one of these
Like I
weeks,
talked about my
we're doing a top 10
So-
all-time list because you have named 2 people, and that is just absurd to even talk about in the top 10.
If it's not Otani, come on. And then I got the Churio, purple. I really want to move that. One of those, obviously, I want to move. This stuff's a little bit down, but it is what it is. And actually, you'd be surprised. I actually want to move this. We'll tilt this down a little so you can see it. It is it's the 87 Bobby Witt Jr. rookie auto PSA 10.
How would you?
Um,
Because I know you have the Ben Baller one. Is there a reason why you
Yeah.
would want to move that one instead of the Ben Baller one?
So I want to keep them in baller, and I actually want to move this. I want to move this possibly for a chrome.
Of Bobby Witt.
I want to. Maybe I want to put some cash and this into a deal to get a chrome first or a chrome rookie auto PSA 10. I don't want a base. I'd probably want like a purple or not a purple, a blue or something.
Good luck, Soul.
Very expensive.
Yeah.
Obviously very expensive. I also have his short print somewhere in here. Let's see if I can pull it out real quick. It's got to be here somewhere. I don't know if I can find it. I have so many cards. So I have the short print rookie, which is probably one of my favorite cards of him ever.
So I know you're a Chrome guy, as in Topps Chrome.
Yeah.
Is any particular reason for that? I mean, I know we don't talk about it a lot. We do bring it up sometimes, but
okay.
In my opinion,
I'm a really big fan of old Topps Chrome. I really like the old Topps Chrome stuff because it intrigued me because of the short print and how rare it is. Like when you look up some of your favorite players of all time, like for Sean's favorite player is Evan Longoria, and Evan Longoria actually has a few really awesome Topps Chrome rookie autos. Just like with football, when you think about the prime product, I think you got optic rated rookie. I think that's kind of like the key for that. And I think for baseball, it's Topps Chrome. I do like Bowman first. It's just like I want to remember them playing in the big leagues. I want to remember that. That's something I'm big on, and I want to remember them being a rookie. I think the rookie card is the biggest is the thing. You can argue with me however much you want and say, oh, it's his first. It's before it's before, it's for me, it's the rookie. I like the RC symbol. It's sick. It's iconic. It's the MLB logo, like right here. Let's see if I can get the angle right here. There you go. Bobby Witt short print rookie. It's amazing. It's a PSA 10. It's the iconic mullet. It's got the RC symbol. They're rare. They're hard to find. This is probably one of my favorite cards. I had it raw, and I wanted to get it graded, and I ended up selling it for the price I actually got this for. So it was like one of those things, like, how can I not get it? And then, like right here, this is not Chrome, but it's old Topps, and it's actually Miguel Cabrera rookie. It doesn't have the RC symbol. It just has the rookie. It just says rookie card up here, but it's his. It's Miguel Cabrera, Triple Crown. Last Triple Crown winner since Carl Yastrzemski. Legend. If you're thinking like retired players, he might be in my top 3. He's an absolute god among men in baseball, and he was iconic. And he's another one. But I would love his Topps Chrome PSA 10 goes for like $1,000. It's insane. I don't know. I don't know what gravitated me toward Topps Chrome. It's just the quality and the rarity for me. These papers are pretty common, actually. That's actually unnumbered. Auto doesn't pop on it. It's paper. It's just not my jazz, But yeah, that's kind of stuff I was just thinking of moving and whatnot. Stuff I want to pick up is I want to get a nice Ceddanne Rafaela. I want to get a Bowman first auto. But also, something I do want to talk about. Topps Chrome comes out in July 17th. And we talked about it. You are not a big money spender when it comes to this kind of stuff, and you were talking this product intrigued you so much. with how loaded it is and everything. And this is something I'm going to show you because I know you like Sandy Koufax. I'll show you this too. This is something will probably make you want to buy it even more. This was just announced today or yesterday, I believe. The Sandy Koufax Topps Chrome Auto in it. I mean, look how clean that is. Like, is that not like absolutely incredible?
And like a lot of these older guys, you can kind of see like the penmanship going. Like he still has a really clean auto. It's not like that
Very.
shaky.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's really nice.
Yeah. So they actually, the news I found out about that for Topps Chrome, they're actually only numbering these up to 50 also. So you'll see a super, an out of 5, an out of 10, and then an out of 50.
So I'll never smell
Maybe
it.
an out of 25 orange. I think that was also in there. But I mean, Sandy Koufax probably one, if not the greatest pitcher of baseball, you know, with an absolute monster auto that could be, coming up to his last. And these Topps Chrome even last year's were phenomenal for the veteran autos. The Pujols last year was insane. The Pedro, the Ortiz, there was a lot of absolute monster. And we talked about the checklist on a recent episode. And I think this is the one. Topps Chrome's gonna be so good this year. And I don't think they already went up in price on pre-sale. And I think if you don't get one in the first day or two and you want one, you're going to be spending an extra 50, 60 bucks to get one. And they're going to sell fast, really fast. So, but yeah.
Yeah.
That's it for this episode, I believe, right?
I got nothing else.
All right, sweet. So thanks for coming and listening, guys. If you're watching on YouTube, I appreciate it. Got Dakota and Tom here. Both of our Instagram handles are down there. We are starting the Twitter soon to get you guys updates and daily updates on when we're going to drop episodes and anything new in baseball and the hobby. And we're going to have some more content coming for the Instagram. And check it out. We're at Stampede Sport Cards for me, at Between the Seams 716 for Tom over here, and we are at Comic Collector Pod on Instagram. You can check my bio if you need to get a link there. And thanks for listening.
Thank you, guys.